This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Hello and welcome. You've tuned into World Business Report here on News 9 Live, where we get you all the latest in the world of business, economy, technology and finance and entertainment and lots more from all across the world. I'm Krishna Kumar. We begin with some major news coming in from India, where medical technology is involved. Wipro GE Healthcare has announced an investment of over 8,000 crore rupees into manufacturing and local R&D or research and development in India over the next 5 years. This move aims to strengthen India's position as a hub for med tech or medical technology manufacturing and innovation. The company's focus on Make in India initiative underscores its commitment to both domestic and global markets. Currently, the organization has 4 manufacturing units in Bengaluru. All 4 manufacturing plants are export plants, and the latest one established in March 2022 with an investment of a little over 100 crore rupees under the Indian government's PLI scheme. GE Healthcare is among the first healthcare companies to start an R&D center in India over 3 decades ago. Away from that, former WeWork CEO Neumann is making headlines again as reports surface that he is attempting to buy back the office sharing giant that he founded. Neumann's bid, reportedly over $500 million, is a mere fraction of its previous valuation. More details in this Reuters report.
Neumann is trying to buy back WeWork. He founded the office-sharing firm and turned it into America's most valuable startup. But he was forced out in 2019 amid financial turmoil and accusations of eccentric behaviour. Now a Reuters source says Neumann has bid over $500 million to buy it back after it filed for bankruptcy in November. The offer is a fraction of the $47 billion value once put on the company. It wasn't immediately clear how Neumann was financing the move. Last month, his lawyers sent a letter to WeWork saying he was exploring a bid. That was said to be backed by prominent investors, including Daniel Loeb, founder of the Third Point hedge fund. However, the fund later denied making any commitments. WeWork would only say it regularly received expressions of interest and was focused on its restructuring efforts. The company scrapped a planned IPO back in 2019 amid questions over its valuation and governance. It went on to rack up losses as the global health crisis saw more people work from home. That sparked a plunge in demand for office space.
In a major shakeup at aircraft giant Boeing, CEO Dave Calhoun has announced his departure from the top position by the end of this year amid a far-reaching aircraft safety crisis at the company. Additionally, board chair and head of Boeing's commercial planes business is also stepping down. These leadership changes come after weeks of turmoil and tumult at Boeing, triggered by a mid-air incident involving a Boeing 737 MAX 9 jet operated by Alaska Airlines in the US, where a door panel blew off while in flight. More details in this Reuters report.
A major shakeup at Boeing on Monday as CEO Dave Calhoun announced he will step down from the top job by year's end amid a sprawling aircraft safety crisis at the company. And the executive overhaul doesn't stop there. Board chair Larry Kellner is out to be replaced by former Qualcomm CEO Steve Mollenkopf, who will lead the search for a new CEO. Stan Deal, head of Boeing's commercial planes business, is also leaving. The leadership changes cap weeks of turmoil at Boeing after a mid-air incident in which a door panel blew off a Boeing 737 MAX 9 jet operated by Alaska Airlines. The mishap, which turned into a full-blown safety and reputational crisis for the plane maker, was just the latest in a series of safety issues that have shaken the industry's confidence in Boeing and hampered its ability to increase production. Calhoun himself was brought in as CEO about 4 years ago following a pair of crashes in 2018 and 2019 that killed nearly 350 people. The company is facing heavy regulatory scrutiny, and U.S. authorities curbed production at Boeing while it attempts to fix its safety and quality problems. The company is in talks to buy former subsidiary Spirit AeroSystems, which makes parts for Boeing planes, to try to get more control over its supply chain. Boeing shares have lost roughly 1/4 of their value since the Alaska Airlines incident in January. Shares were up in Monday morning trading.
Now, India's Amul fresh milk is poised to enter international markets, marking a historic move by the Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation, or GCMMF, as they export fresh Amul milk beyond India for the very first time. Within a week, 4 milk variants will debut in the US market, targeting the Indian diaspora and the Asian population over there. Mr. Jayant Mehta, Managing Director of Amul, said, and I quote him over here, "We have been exporting dairy products for many decades, but this is the first time we are launching fresh milk outside India," unquote. The federation has joined forces with the Michigan Milk Producers Association, a 108-year-old cooperative organization, for this endeavor in the US. The Michigan Milk Producing Association will manage milk collection and processing, while the Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation will handle marketing and branding for fresh Amul milk in the US. Away from milk to Tesla and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk's recent statements, which suggest a shift in political preferences as the US presidential elections get closer. Despite previously maintaining neutrality in political donations, Musk's latest tweet indicates a departure from his prior Democratic support. He tweeted on Monday, and I quote him over here, "I voted 100% Dem until a few years ago. Now I think we need a red wave or America is toast," unquote. That was Musk hinting at a growing inclination towards supporting Donald Trump and the Republican Party in the upcoming US presidential elections this year. And with that, we are taking a very short breather here on World Business Report. We'll be back with lots more on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
$20,000 people dead and counting. What's happening in the United States of America is unprecedented. You will have to pay for this.
You were the chosen one to direct Mr. Bachchan for his first endorsement, for his first appearance on the small screen.
It was a life-changing moment.
Have you been a rebel with a cause?
There was a sense of responsibility, there was a sense of frustration.
Are you worried about cancel culture?
You tell a story with a fierce psychosis, you're gonna spoil it anyway.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
जानना है तो देखिए, समझना है तो सुनिए, सीखना है तो पूछिए। और कमाना है तो खरीदिए। जानकारी, सलाह और निवेश सब एक ही सुपर ऐप पर। पैसे का सवाल है तो जवाब है मनी 9। आजादी पैसे की, अभी डाउनलोड करें।
The football is mother of all games.
It is a team sport.
The leadership attitude is taking the ownership.
It's always a big responsibility to take decisions and the right decisions.
I always question the stereotypical.
And that's why you are in that position.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Currently, the industry is facing a lot of challenges as far as demand is concerned. Basically, the US markets has slowed down because of high inflation.
So obviously, diamonds being a dream product, something which doesn't have a utility value or is seen as a luxury. So that obviously goes off your shopping list. That's the first item that will go off your shopping list, especially in recessionary trends.
That lab-grown diamonds are not mined, and they do away with the entire mining. So they save up on all the environmental damage that is associated with mining, and of course, the mining cost, which is why they're even more affordable.
People that is impacted by all these recessions are the artisans, are the people who work in this industry, right? But I think lab-grown diamond has allowed them to actually use their skills in the same product.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
You are watching World Business Report. I'm Krishna Kumar, and a US judge dismissed Elon Musk's lawsuit against a non-profit group tracking online hate speech, stating that it was clear that Elon Musk sued the Center for Countering Digital Hate, or CCDH, due to their critique of his microblogging social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter. This report tells you all about it.
A U.S. judge on Monday threw out a lawsuit filed by Elon Musk against a nonprofit group that tracks online hate speech. In his decision, the judge said it was, quote, evident that Musk sued the Center for Countering Digital Hate because he didn't like that it faulted him for allowing a rise in hate speech on his platform X, formerly known as Twitter, and he thought CCDH's research would hurt the platform's image and scare off advertisers. The judge wrote, quote, X Corp has brought this case in order to punish CCDH for CCDH publications that criticized X Corp, and perhaps in order to dissuade others who might wish to engage in such criticism. The decision is a blow for Musk, who has styled himself as a champion of free speech, but since paying $44 billion for Twitter in 2022, Musk has faced widespread criticism for firing staff at X who policed misinformation and for allowing more harmful and abusive posts. Musk's own speech has often drawn complaints. In November 2023, he endorsed an anti-Semitic post on X that said members of the Jewish community were stoking hatred against white people, saying the user spoke, quote, the actual truth. Musk has denied being anti-Semitic and sought to make amends, including in a January visit to the former Nazi death camp Auschwitz in southern Poland. While there, he claimed the platform was making progress.
The outside audits that we've had done, at least the ones that we've had done, show that there is the least amount of anti-Semitism on X. If you look at all the other social, it's never going to be zero if you've got 600 million people on a platform.
An attorney for CCDH said Monday's decision shows that Musk, quote, cannot bend the rule of law to his will. X, in a statement, said it plans to appeal.
3 of the world's leading tech giants, Apple, Alphabet's Google, and Meta, are under investigation in the European Union for potential breaches of the Digital Markets Act announced by antitrust regulators on Monday this week. The law, which is effective from the 7th of March, imposes stringent regulations on 6 gatekeepers, including companies providing services like search engines, social networks, and chat applications used by other businesses. More in this report.
3 of the world's top tech giants face investigations in the EU. Antitrust regulators said Monday Apple, Alphabet's Google, and Meta will be investigated for potential breaches of the Digital Markets Act. The law became effective from March 7th. It has strict rules for 6 gatekeepers, which are companies which provide services like search engines, social networks, and chat apps used by other businesses. The gatekeepers must comply with guidance to ensure a level playing field for rivals and to give users more choices. Violations could result in fines of as much as 1/10 of the company's global annual turnover. The European Commission said it suspects the measures put in place by these gatekeepers fall short of effective compliance under the Act. EU Antitrust Chief Margrethe Vestager.
These decisions to open non-compliance investigation, they come only 2 weeks after the implementation deadline has passed and show that the DMA compliance is something that we take really seriously.
The EU competition enforcer will investigate Apple's rules on steering in Google Play and self-preferencing on Google Search. It will also look at Apple's rules on steering in the App Store and the choice screen for Safari. Meta's pay or consent model has also caught their attention. A Meta spokesperson said the company was working to comply with the Act's guidance. Google said it would defend its approach in the coming months. Apple said it was confident its plan complied with the Digital Markets Act. Regulators aim to wrap up the investigations within a year.
Lufthansa's attempt to acquire a stake in Italy's ITA Airways is now facing regulatory hurdles as European Union antitrust regulators cautioned that the deal could impede competition and result in increased ticket prices. The European Commission expressed concerns about potential adverse effects on both short-haul and long-haul routes between Italy and Central European countries, as well as destinations like the US, Canada, and Japan.
Lufthansa's bid to buy a stake in Italy's ITA Airways hit turbulence on Monday. The EU's antitrust regulators warned the deal could harm competition and lead to higher prices. The European Commission said it threatened competition on short-haul routes between Italy and Central European countries. It could also impact long-haul routes between Italy, the US, Canada and Japan. And it would also strengthen ITA's dominant position at Milan's main airport. Lufthansa and the Italian government can now put forward new remedies by April 26th. The German group wants to buy a 41% stake in state-owned ITA for $351 million. Lufthansa said it would present remedies to the Commission in a timely manner. It added it believed the deal would strengthen competition in Europe and in Italy. The company also said it was still confident ITA would become part of the Lufthansa Group family this year.
Now, away from that to the stock markets in the US, which closed lower on Monday ahead of anticipated key inflation data later in the week. All the major indices ending the day in the red. This decline followed the indices' biggest weekly percentage gains of the year. Analysts attributed these losses to profit-taking, considering the recent market upturn. This Reuters report gets you the latest from Wall Street.
U.S. stocks ended lower on Monday, ahead of key inflation data due later in the week. The Dow shed 0.4%, and the S&P 500 and Nasdaq both lost roughly 0.3%. But it was the first session after all 3 indexes notched their biggest weekly percentage gains of the year, leading Lisa Erickson, head of Public Markets Group at U.S. Bank Wealth Management, to chalk up Monday's losses to profit-taking.
We're really having a little bit of a reset market today. If you just think about 2024 as a whole, you have a situation where the market has been fairly Goldilocks, encouraged both by signs of inflation slowly and bumpily moving to its target, as well as the Fed on pause and then hopefully potentially moving to pivot. And yet the macro fundamentals generally coming in better than expected. And so we've really actually had just quite a nice run in terms of equity prices.
Last week, the Federal Reserve maintained its guidance for 3 interest rate cuts this year. Markets are now pricing in a more than 70% chance of a rate cut in June, according to CME's FedWatch tool. In company news, shares of Boeing rose more than 1% after the company announced a broad management shakeup that included the departure this year of CEO Dave Calhoun as the planemaker looks to resolve its aircraft safety issues. Shares of Walt Disney gained 3% after Barclays upgraded the stock to overweight from equal weight. And Micron Technology, whose memory chips are used in artificial intelligence-related hardware, surged more than 6% to close at a record high. The February reading of the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, is due on Friday, when markets will be closed for the Good Friday holiday.
From a landmark rate hike in Japan to a hotly anticipated IPO for Reddit, here's a roundup of some of the stories in the world of business and finance in the week in numbers. Take a look.
From a rate hike nearly 2 decades in the making to how Reddit hit its target, this is the week in numbers. 17 years is how long it had been since Japan saw a rate hike. On Tuesday, that finally changed. The Bank of Japan nudged its benchmark rate just above 0 and said it could do more increases if inflation picks up. 2.1% is how much the Federal Reserve now thinks the US economy will grow this year, well up on its earlier forecasts. That has some wondering if inflation might stay stubbornly high too. But Fed's Chair Jerome Powell says he thinks price increases will ease off.
The risks to achieving our employment and inflation goals are moving into better balance.
$6.4 billion was the value put on social network Reddit in its hotly anticipated IPO. That was at the top of its target range, but still well down on a 2021 valuation, back when it was at the heart of the meme stock craze. $19.5 billion is the value of grants and loans given to Intel by Washington. That's meant to subsidize cutting-edge chip production and supercharge the company's domestic output of semiconductors. And almost 12% was the slide in shares for Kering after it warned sales at flagship label Gucci are set to drop by a fifth. The company blamed waning demand in Asia, with its glum outlook sending European luxury stocks skidding lower.
In the world of cars, Nissan unveiled ambitious plans to boost global sales by 1 million vehicles over the next 3 years, alongside the launch of 30 new models. In an update to its medium-term business plan, the Japanese carmaker aimed for a 6% operating profit margin and a total shareholder returns exceeding 30% by March 2027.
Nissan aims to raise its global sales by 1 million vehicles over the next 3 years, and it plans to launch 30 new models in that time. That's according to the Japanese automaker Monday, as it announced an update to its medium-term business plan. Nissan says it will target an operating profit margin of 6% by the end of March 2027 and total shareholder returns of more than 30%. The carmaker was a pioneer in electric vehicles with its all-battery powered Leaf, but its EV efforts have since been outshone by the likes of Tesla and China's BYD. The automaker now aims to have electrified vehicles, which include hybrids, make up 60% of global sales by the end of the decade. That's up from a goal of 55% released last year. The update comes shortly after Nissan and rival Honda said they would consider a strategic partnership to work on key components for EVs and other areas. Nissan said that of its planned 30 new models, 16 would be electrified. It also plans to reduce the cost of the next generation of EVs by 30%.
Away from all of that to the world of entertainment, where in a theatre production called Five, the parody musical, 5 women, Ivana, Ivanka, Marla, Melania and Stormy, from former President Donald Trump's life, take center stage in an off-Broadway production. Take a look at this.
5 women, Ivana, Ivanka, Marla, Melania, and Stormy, take the spotlight in 5, the parody musical, an off-Broadway production that centers around the women in former President Donald Trump's adult life. And the show seems to be catching on. After opening on February 19th, it has already been extended for 6 weeks.
It's wonderfully delicious to be able to take these women to the light and to give them the time that they deserve.
Hannah Barnett plays Trump's eldest daughter, Ivanka.
At the end of the day, they've all been shadowed for so long by this person. So we get to play every night on stage and really exemplify these women for how, classy and bold and wonderful that they are.
I don't miss you now. The song and dance storyline centers on a central question: whose experience stands out the most, and is inspired by the Broadway musical 6, which provides a similar stage treatment of the women of Henry VIII. Shimmy Braun is the show's book and lyrics producer.
This is an equitable show in that we do similarly allow all these women to have their say and let us all learn about them, both in a comedic way, but also their positives and ways they've given back to us as a country as well.
Given the current political climate, for both cast and crew, the motivation was primarily light in nature. Gabby Garcia plays Stormy.
Going into the election season, it's depressing. And this has been a really good excuse to laugh and get ourselves prepared for this election season as it's coming.
5 is currently slated to run until April 21st.
And that's all we have time for in this edition of World Business Report. Thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.